pronouns are they, them. And welcome to my sort of writing vlog, which sort of not really on hiatus at the moment. I'm writing, but I've noticed that um, the documenting of it all, sometimes I get caught up in the, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this. And for 2026, one of my not resolutions, but one of the things that I want to pay attention to is the way that I basically make myself stress with self-imposed rules and things that in the big scheme of things don't really mean a lot. To that, I've started not sort of pushing myself in the way that I've done recently. I've started to slow down with the writing, but I've read quite a lot. I spent 2 weeks in Germany with my parents and my brother, and also seeing other members of my family, and I managed to read an awful lot. One of my problems is that as soon as I've downloaded something onto my e-reader, it sort of vanishes into the vortex of lost books. And to combat that, what I thought I'd do is some kind of lottery that I see lots of people do with their physical TBRs, because I thought maybe that's helping. Because what I noticed is that when I read books from the library, like physical books that are there that I can see, where I actually have a date where they have to go back to the library, even though sometimes I renew them, there's still sort of a reading list in there because some I think I can't renew because they're very popular or something like this. So what I did was that I made myself a little jar with paper snippets with the book titles, and I've done that before. I went on holiday and I actually read through the 3 books that I picked. So, not quickly, but quite at a pace, and had to come up with another one to get me home, so to speak. And I decided not to pick from the list that I knew was in the jar, but to just pick something at random. I'm a bit of a mood reader, I think, but that gets trumped by a list. So I read A Master of Gin by P. Julie Clark, like coming back from Germany. I finished that yesterday, then read my book club book. So you see, I'm going at quite a clip here. It's just when I'm in a reading phase, I tend to read quite fast. And one of my sort of goals, I'm always hesitant to speak of goals and resolutions. I always think it's a bit more stress that we make for ourselves. I'm already really good at that, so I don't need like an extra month to do it in. But one of the things I always wanted to do recently was to reread the Airfares or the Thursday Next series by Jasper Ford. Um, and I have the first 3 volumes of the series in this lovely edition with the little animals on the front. And I always had the first one here, but I didn't have the next 2 books that I own. And I thought, if I can get them back, because they're paperback, they're quite light, so I was actually able to take them back in my hand luggage. I'll try and reread the series this year and get the parts that I don't have from the library. One of the reasons why I wanted to reread it is I think I've read this book at least 3 times already. I think the first time I wasn't really sure I didn't really know what I was getting into, and I didn't really appreciate much of the science fictiony aspects of it. And I think what I want to reread it for is because it's set in my area where I'm living now. The first time I read this, I had no idea that I would live here for more than 10 years at a time. So I think I want to read it for sort of the regional interest as well. And and just I think it's one of those books, like every time you read it, you find something new and to chuckle about, and you have a deeper understanding of things that are going on because you're not distracted by the plot, and you can just dive into what's going on um, behind the plot and into the characters. And I don't know if it's one of my favorite series, but it's definitely a series that has intrigued me for many, many years. And I've always, as I said, wanted to do a reread just to see if I have like more of an understanding now that I've lived in the area a bit longer as well. Um, and yeah, that's sort of the reading section. Writing wise, I hope I'm sort of halfway through my current project. It is supposed to be a shorter novel, around 50,000 words, um, about traveling through fairy doors, or basically between like the boundary between the human world and the fairy world. Um, and I think I know where I'm going now. I've made an effort to, as I said, slow down with the writing, be a bit more deliberate with why I'm sitting down, what I want to write. I've um I've written a bit in the airport because the weather is quite difficult at the moment. It was snowing in Germany when I left, and here it's really cold at the moment, very bright, which is lovely in a way, but it also makes for a bit of a like inconvenience, let's say. So I made sure I had plenty of time on my travel day. Despite of that, there were lots of delays. I came home quite late, but I managed to write a bit in the airport, which was nice. I've also journaled a fair bit more, um, and I've gone a bit deeper into the rabbit hole of pens, inks, and stationery. It's no longer the beginning of the rabbit hole. I think I'm quite deep in now. I will say that again later when I do like more dedicated videos about it, because I have been really enjoying videos about fountain pen and ink content. So I think I want to at least like do a bit of that as well. Um, but my hobby in that comes with a big caveat, and that it is a very functional thing. So, because I write my first drafts longhand, the pens that I use need to be workhorses. They can't be too precious because I'm dragging them around. So I'm not, they can't be so expensive that I lose my mind when I lose them, because that happens quite a lot that I lose things, so or that I get damaged. So I need to be a bit careful how I go about things. One thing that I found, I went through my stationery stash at home, and one thing that I found is this lovely pen case, the wooden pen case. Unfortunately, the most expensive pen that I own, which is sort of 60 bucks or so, um, does not fit in here. But apart from that, it's because it's sturdy, it's a great thing to put in like something more expensive that you may want to carry about. Um, and I also, while I was home, unexpectedly started experimenting with drawing, like ink drawing, and then um, diluting the ink with water and see the effects of that. I did quite a lot of drawing when I was younger. I bought a tablet for digital drawing and did quite a lot of digital drawing for a while. But then for that petered out again. And a while ago, I had the idea of doing illustrations for the season of Frost and Blossom, because it's centered around quite a lot of like a few stories that could be illustrated. And even I think the illustrations are meant of the books in particular are mentioned in the book as well. So I thought it's sort of nice book within a book thing to do it. And I had picked sort of, I think, five illustrations that could go in sort of theme wise. And then I just started experimenting, and I actually started doing the first sketches when I was still here. Um, but I didn't really get the vibe right. I wanted it to be a bit more, I don't know, more interesting, let's say, not as literal, not as real life. Um, I always have the thing that it's in my head so seldom what's on the page. Um, so I started experimenting a bit more and did some things with brown ink, which I really like. There's one picture in the series that's not as I don't like as much, but I think it makes sense in the set. So yeah, I think I'm actually going to use them for the upcoming release, and that will be in 2027. Um, but the book hasn't been copyrighted yet, so it's nice because then I can sort of slot in the illustrations as well, and maybe even try and send them to the copyrighter as well, so they have like I know an idea of what's in my head. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. But that's sort of the later part of this year. I've allocated to this copy edit, but it's sort of I'm working ahead. Um, then one of the reasons why I also wanted to reread the airfare is because a friend of mine and we are working on a more science fiction project, and because science fiction is not my genre, but I've been very interested to sort of get into it. I'm not doing such a great job with reading more science fiction. I think I just need to take the plunge. Um, I loved Becky Chambers, some Julian May that I read, but I think it's a very specific kind of science fiction um, that is still very human in a way. I don't know. Um, but because when we started work on that, I thought I'd give myself an easier task by setting my future in the area that I live in. Um, like, I mean, this is technically said in 1985, though I think he wrote it in the 80s. So that's basically what he did, like an alternative to the time he was living in. I mean, for me, it's going to be in the future, but it's the same area. Um, and so I thought it would be interesting to see um, how like spaces that I know are showing up here, because the way that I use them in my chapters, I think it's a bit different. We're still hashing out how to like combine those things. Um, he asked if we wanted to do like a writing weekend like quite soon, so I enthusiastically said yes, let's do it. So hopefully I'll see him on Tuesday and we can find a date where we can just have a weekend of writerly things. I would love that. And so I still there's still some work to do on that, but I'm trying to console myself with the knowledge that basically everything is set for the next release, which is on March 26th. Yes, March 26th. Um, the files are ready, the books are ready. I um, I still need to. I wanted to order a, another hardback with some alternative specs just to see what it looks like. so I can do, because I will sell the hard bags via, like, when I'm on events, or maybe via my website, like very localized, not very, it's not going to be a big edition, but the cloth that I chose for the binding, it's not really a cloth, it's more like a full leather thing, and I didn't anticipate that. So I think I want to see how it looks with like a proper cloth on it. And yeah, maybe do some colored end papers or something just to see how it looks. Um, and how much like more that would cost. So I'm that's something that I want to order pretty soon, just to give myself time once everything releases. Um, and also I would like to do like a little event with the local library. I've already talked to them about it, and they said yes, January would be a good time to like take up the talks again, because then is also when they plan sort of the next events for everything. So that's what I plan to do. But generally, I had a bit of a social media break in December, not really from going on social media, but posting. And that has made a huge difference to my stress level, I think. Not just because I'm like, so it was the holidays and everything. I wanted to give myself like a month where I was not, especially a month where everyone is sort of trying to do more usually because of the holidays. I wanted to take a deliberate step back. It felt very good, but I also know that that's not something that I can keep up, because social media marketing, it just is part of the job. I need to find a way to deal with it, but I definitely want to deal with it in a way that does not impact me so much as it did before. Yeah, just to make it more sustainable. And because I don't really want to burn out, then disappear for half a year, then come back, disappear again. I would love to have like a steady rhythm. I also think one of my, not fears, but one of my concerns is repeating myself. So I try to come up constantly with sort of new things to say. And when I see other people posting, they post the same all the time. So I think I need to get over that particular fear, because obviously not every post is reaching everyone. I think that's sort of a bit of a under misconception that I'm laboring under. So I think I need to just be okay with repeating myself, and then just obviously space things out, but not get too hung up. So, in conclusion, 2026, Happy New Year, everyone, is supposed to be a year of deliberateness, if that's a word, and of trying to connect more with the craft, as in manufacturer. So basically, like with my hands, do more like paper stuff, do more analog drawing, and just, I think I'm definitely not the only one who feels this overwhelm. Um, but instead of getting paralyzed by it, I want to find ways to sidestep. So that's sort of the plan for this year. Like, give myself plenty of time to play, to explore, to, yeah, just to be more mindful about what I'm doing, why I'm doing things. And if I notice that things like old rules don't work anymore, not to punish myself for not sticking to something that's actually was never important, apart from like one little bit in my brain that says you need to do that, you need to stick to it, otherwise you're a failure. And I hope that we can all give ourselves grace this year. It's really, really hard to exist in this world, especially if you're any sort of not straight, not white, not cis, not, you know, like where I'm going with this. So I think let's all try and resist in a way that serves us. That might be a very haughty goal. And as I said, the word goal is not really a word that I like. For some reason, it reminds me too much of sports, and I'm not a sporty person. Yeah, just maybe we can concentrate on being human this year. That would be nice. If you would like to be along for the ride, I would be absolutely thrilled. Um, if you want to sample my writing, a very risk free way to do that is to sign up for my newsletter. The link to do that is in the description box below, and then I'll send you the first volume of my series Slow Moon as a free EPUB sign up gift. And with that, let's dive into this year. Thank you so much for watching.